Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. It's back. It's tier list season. So you know King Jolly Olive is back joining us as we preview this offseason a little differently by making a tier list of kind of the most important off-seasons for these teams. Off-seasons? I'm not sure the plural, but kind of rank them out as who's this the biggest offseason for? There's some teams that can kind of roll the ball out there next year, and they got the same thing going on. There's a couple teams that this offseason dictates their next 3, 4, 5. So I'm interested to see how it sorts out with our guy Jolly. How are you?
I'm good, man. This is a great idea by you. I credit you fully. I mean, it's going to be a good way for us to, I think, brush up on all 30 teams. Like, where are we at? Who are we losing? What are we doing? I like where we landed with our tiers. I'm excited for this ep. I am. I'll admit it.
So if you're new to our tier list episodes, welcome. And we play by our own rules here. We start out with certain categories. We are willing to add and change at any moment. We'll keep some updates on the screen for you as we go. The current tiers we have for most important offseason is most important offseason. That's the number one. I think it's either got to be one or two teams, and I don't think they can be the same league.
Yes.
We did some light brainstorming. We haven't overcommitted, but interested to see what that looks like.
We don't want it crowded up there. That's the big thing.
No, normally we allow a little bit of BS, but I think for the sacred word of most, we have to keep that pretty dialed. The second tier, we have impact move needed. You need to... When we talk about your offseason, when we do the team profile and projections, we say, well, they did sign bleep. We'll fill that in post. The next category, we put plug and holes. Jolly's old nickname at Rutgers.
Timeout.
Oh.
Pause.
Illegal. You have needs. You can do it. I think you said like 4th or 5th starter. Maybe we need one, Mark Canna in that 8th hole.
I need an 8th inning guy. Give me Paul Sewald.
Yeah, give me a setup, man. Give me a 4th starter, and let's roll the ball out there. The 4th category is labeled hold? ? These teams, I don't know. we kind of haven't thought about it, but there's teams that, I guess there's teams every offseason that have a certain amount of youth and a certain amount of budget that it's like, well, if they do or don't, it kind of is what it is.
I have a crazy one for hold, but no spoilers.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
The next tier, which I'm interested to see, because maybe we do need to slide this up, is pick a direction. Because that's kind of important. Okay. I'm interested to see.
If you're a team and you don't know where you're going,
right?
No one's respecting you right now.
I guess that's the thing. Some of these teams in pick a direction, their offseason is more important than holding.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because the teams that are holding, they know their direction.
So maybe we might bring up pick a direction.
We'll
Let's early swap. Let's do that for now.
Crazy.
And then a classic Talkin Jake tier list. Bottom, nothing matters. We'll talk about you in a little bit, Rockies. So we'll start there if we feel like we need to add a tier because someone just don't fit. We'll do that. Looks like the Rockies made the graphic. Wow. Everyone watching on YouTube, subscribe.
Nice.
Appreciate it. And make sure you guys comment whatever you think we screwed up. Where do you think is easiest to start, Jolly? I mean, besides the Rockies who made the graphic early, but the YouTube algorithm says don't start with Rockies.
I was going to say, we could start with the garbage pickup down there, but we don't have to.
You know what, Jol?
Sure.
I think there is a team that is no doubt towards the top of this board that people would consider you an expert in the field on.
Wow.
The New York Metropolitans.
Starting there, huh?
Uncle Steve. They traded away guys. They said, we'll eat the money. We'll get better prospects back. They made a deep NLCS run. I don't know if you remember that.
That's pretty cool.
That this was supposed to be the offseason anyways for them, and that was with no playoff expectations. That happened. That the Mets, they're going to be in the top 2 columns. Rose. Horizontal is Rose. Little Greek history
Rosie
there.
For a second, I get confused.
So give me a little.
Yeah, they're funky. They're funky right now. They're gonna land in that top 2. I don't know if they're quite at the top, but they're definitely a contender. They have 180 $180 million coming off their books, which is absurd. Like you said, last year was the transition year. $180 million coming off their books. They got out of the Justin Verlander vesting option because he didn't hit his innings limit, so that contributes to that.
Scherzer deal
done. I mean, all their bullpen is going to be out. Quintana, Sevy, Manaea, you can go down the list. Like it
adds up quick.
There's going to be a lot of turnover. A lot of guys will be back, and we'll see as soon as tomorrow if Severino is one of those guys. Really important offseason for them, though, and that was always kind of the case, regardless of what happened in 2024, which everything went as good as it could have gone. So I have them top tier right now, and I know I'm a little biased and I'm very honed in on this, but I have them making more than one impact move and many other moves on top of that. One, because they have capital to spend. Two, because they have a fire under their butt now because they just went to the NLCS. So they're like, let's invest in this team. Why not? And three, they've become a desirable location. They're in New York. They have money to spend. They've shown that they're willing to be competitive year in and year out. So this is a really important offseason for them because if things go as well as they did in the regular season, you're looking at a team that is probably going to be contending for a World Series next year, just really opening their window, not even necessarily in the middle of it, because the window really cracked open in June of this year. So a lot to be done in the Mets front office. They got a guy in charge that they like a lot. And it looks like Steve Cohen is sort of stepping out of the management decisions and sort of just saying, here's the checkbook, do what you think you need to do, and we'll get it done. So I have them at the top, but I'm down to see that change if we see another situation.
Let's put them up there for now because this is where I get kind of crazy-eyed with your Mets, Jolly. What's the minimum starting pitchers they have to sign or trade for this offseason?
3. 3 is...
I was going to say 2 if you really wanted to be minimum.
If
but they're going to sign 3.
If they're focused on, getting a really good center fielder or upgrading at third base and moving Vientos to first, I understand if it's less because they have guys like Jose Budo that they think can still start. Tyler McGill has always shown flashes, but if they're opening up this 2025 World Series contention window, the best case is one of the big fish aces, one of the middle tier guys, and a back end guy.
3's right. Because Sang is coming off injury.
Right.
Peterson, 21 starts last year. Blackburn, McGill, Budo? Budo?
But you can call him the butt. He doesn't mind.
That's good. That's a good sign. That's a good sign from a player.
I'm not sure he knows what it means.
You're going to bring in 3 starting pitchers. So that's already got a lot of teams beat with their offseason needs.
Right.
Lineup-wise,
there's work to be done.
Again, listing it as minimum, they would have to bring in one major league starting player. Like, this is even, okay, we believe in Tyrone Taylor, we believe in Acuna, Brett Beatty. A couple of those could be okay, but minimum one MLB starting player.
Yeah, and they get all of their options for where to put that guy are where the market is most robust. Like right field, obviously, Juan Soto. First base.
Have you been saying robust? Is that a Joe's McFly effect?
I dropped that in a little bit just to see if it catch your ear. First base, Alonso and Walker, obviously. Third base, Bregman is available. And Arenado apparently is available in trade. Like they have tons of options there too, and every other hole that's like plugged right now for them doesn't necessarily have a great free agent market. So they're in a terrific spot by all accounts. Like they
who's your number one position guy?
It's Juan Soto.
Oh.
But I've been
but for real.
I've been pushing it. I've been saying that it's going to be Yankees because,
So let me start over.
Sure.
Yes.
Of course.
If it's not Soto, who's the guy that you think fits? Juan Soto fits everything the best. Who's the guy that you think fits all of this the best?
The guy that I think who is not Juan Soto that makes the team the best that they can be is Christian Walker.
Okay.
He fits the 3-year window that they're gearing up for because that'll be the length of his contract. Vastly improves the defense in our infield. Hits just as well as Pete Alonso, maybe with less home runs, but the numbers are still there. My heart says Alonso, but Alonso is going to get that bigger contract, and he deserves it. And I just don't think that big number fits into the Mets' plans of we need to address a bunch of different things with this $180 million that we have. Obviously, I'd love it, and if the Mets go crazy, I'm down. Obviously, I'm still a fan, guys. Like I'm being realistic, but I'm still a fan. But I think realistically, if it's not Soto, it's 3 starting pitchers, Christian Walker, bonus pieces, go.
So, yeah, I guess, and again, there's different ways to cut up this exercise, but, I mean, we're talking about 4 quality, minimum, 4 quality major league kind of bona fide pieces that the Mets will be looking to add. And
just by how long this discussion has gone on this one team is the reason why I think they're at the top. Well, they just have a lot to do.
Let's, how about this? Those 4 to 5 pieces that you can almost lock in, let's see who pops up as a potential contender.
I like that.
You said you had an interesting, was it pick a direction? Or was it
I had an interesting hold. I have an obvious pick a direction if we want to do that first.
There's a few obvious pick a directions. Let's get a hold question mark, because I'm questioning even looking at the category, but I do like it.
You're going to think it's crazy because they're obviously going to do something, because they always do something. The Dodgers could run it back, and I think they would still be World Series favorites, just with a fully healthy roster. Because realistically, besides Teoscar, who are they losing? Besides a couple bullpen arms? That was my hot take for hold, but having them low on the list, I understand, feels kind of funky when it's an off-season thing.
So we know something out of Teoscar, Flaherty, something's going to go Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they could also have a massive offseason.
Right.
They're supposedly in on Soto,
But the thing is, they don't need it, which is why they probably don't go top 2.
Bullpen, Kopech, Phillips, Banda, Brazier, Vesia. Yeah.
That's a World Series bullpen.
Bruce Starr's going to come back midseason, we found out today. Sure. That's just his new thing. The lineup listed as of today.
Sure.
Or excuse me, the rotation. Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glasnow, Gonsolin, Bobby Miller, Dustin May.
I'd say that's top 5 in MLB.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
The lineup listed as of today. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Tommy Edmonds, Gavin Lux, Andy Pajes, and James Outman.
So you could say plug in holes, but it's really hole, and it's just left field.
Just like outfielder.
But they also believe in their guys.
A lot of teams would like to have Andy Pajes.
And James Pajes had a great year, and he was their 4th or 5th outfielder.
Right. I like leaving it as hold.
Okay.
This Dodgers team,
I didn't think I'd get a yes out of you.
If the offseason ended, this Dodgers team would be the favorite.
I still have them as the best team in baseball.
And they're probably going to, you could label plugging holes, but I think hold is fine.
If Magic Johnson just wants to kick back and take a couple months off, he could.
I guess we'll just take Roki.
Yeah, we'll just have him.
God.
Why not?
How's your Roki research going? I know that's the
going
next
well.
video.
Things are trending in the Dodgers' direction after I got a little bit of clarity today, but there's some nuances to it. It gets a little interesting. You might have an answer sooner than you might expect.
We did uneducated Roki talk last week, Jake, so
nice.
Get ready for this weekend for some education, folks. Dodgers, click. Let's
You want to hit some layups?
Let's start eliminating. We spent way too much time on the Mets. Weird.
Okay.
Okay, let's get rid of some nothing matters. It looks like the Rockies are on there. The Athletics, we call them now.
I mean, we just know they're not going to spend, so nothing matters. Unfortunately, there's
nothing matters.
But there's so many ways you can make that team good, which is why it
kids.
sucks. They got really talented young players.
Rooker, Butler, Blade landed.
That's one of the best outfields in the American League, and it's just going to go to waste. That sucks.
I don't know that. Don't sleep on Sacto. Let's see. Who's off season? The Rays are really weird because how do you ever label them?
Have they ever mattered in the off season?
I'm going to leave them. They're in on Soto.
Yeah, I can't put them in nothing matters because they're still in.
They matter.
They're in Sasaki rumors too. They're involved.
To them, from me, saying nothing matters is a compliment.
Yeah,
just Rays.
They got bigger problems.
Halos.
I have They're doing stuff though.
They are doing
I don't know. Does any of it matter?
Does any of it matter?
Yeah,
Is a really
I would
interesting
put them in nothing matters because these like
They deserve
minor things that they're
Sorry.
doing, like Hendricks and Darno, they're not going to be tangible, proven.
If they're
differences.
lucky, one of them's tradable.
White
Right.
Sox.
White Sox go. That's what I was going to put. Yeah, that's just easy.
Does anyone else stand out as a nothing matters? I don't think so.
I cap it there. Yeah, because
Okay.
I think the Marlins.
See if anyone feels right later.
Right,
but-
like I think some of the lower level teams they'll still do things.
Okay, if you were looking for more A's, Angels, Rockies, and White Sox talk, tune in next time.
I really like the A's position player core. I just want that to be known.
Okay.
They're talented.
Okay.
Zach Geloff had a down year. He'll be better next year.
Zach Geloff. Yeah. Hey. All right. I'm not getting sucked into that right now. Not doing it. Who? Jolly Olive. How about our second tier? Someone that you think you can lock in. They're probably not going for the top category. We currently have it labeled as impact move needed. We wondered if it should be one big fish. I guess what team, as you look at the board right now, are you like, they need an impact move?
I got an easy one here. They could even make two if they wanted to, but I don't think it's the way they do their business. But I do think even despite making the playoffs last year, their performance last year and the injuries and how lackluster the season was comparatively, I think the Braves are due for a big move.
Okay.
Logically, I think it's Willy Adames, but I don't know if that happens because his price tag's going to get pretty big. But even if you want to go the pitching route with them, they have Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach, and they just traded for Griffin Canning, who they're probably going to fix and make really good. And that leaves one spot at the end, which is currently Ian Anderson, but who knows if that happens.
Just the best postseason pitcher of all time.
Yeah, let me just set a World Series record, and then I'll dip. I'll be out of your hair. So I have them either adding an ace or a shortstop, and either way, it's going to make their team a lot better. Plus, they're all going to probably be healthy again next year, and they'll probably win the NL East.
So I don't want to say fight back.
Sure. Clap back at me, Jake. Come on
I'm
now.
going to clap back. I'll make it clap, no hands.
Pause.
Spencer Strider, maybe at some point next season. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what his timetable is.
I don't know where that's out.
Let's see if that's anywhere.
Ron Acuna will be back
Right.
next season, right? I don't know if there's any timeline stuff there. If I put Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field right now, the Braves lineup goes something along these lines. Acuna, Harris Deuce, Albies, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Marcelo Zuna, Kelnick, Sean Murphy, Orlando Arcia.
They could hold.
The rotation: Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, and Spencer Schwellenbach, Canning, Ion Anderson, and like I mentioned, Strider. I don't know.
Strider is April to May. I just looked it up.
Okay, and that's Smith, Shaver, and
Who's supposed to be very good.
AAA. He's a
top
kid.
prospect.
A couple other bodies, whatever. Bryce Elder in AAA. Remember?
All-star, by the way.
So I guess my only interesting thing here, the Braves going Braves, and I think the big move is coming. But if they plugged a hole, if they signed a fourth starter, if they signed any of the Mets starters that were free agents,
Quintana.
and that was their offseason, we would kind of shrug.
I would still pick them as the NL East favorites.
Right. That I
Need is the big word in the second tier.
Right.
Because they don't need a big move.
They don't need.
But they could be so scary if they did.
I think
You want to go hold?
I want to put plugging holes for now.
Okay.
Because this is where the exercise does get interesting, because I think an impact move is coming, like you said. I don't know if they've been waiting for Adames. I don't know.
They could get a big relief arm, too. They got some spots in their
Snell.
bullpen.
Like,
There's room to add an exciting starter for sure, because every team has room to add an exciting
You give
starter.
me a setup man, a 4 or 5 starter, and maybe just a minor shortstop upgrade on the Braves, and 101 wins.
right. And hey, Acuna comes back. You got a Laureano, Kelnick, Platoon as the weak spot in your lineup.
And they made that work last year. Like, Laureano's numbers last year landed in a really good spot.
You know where Laureano hive. I want to leave it for now because I think they're making an impact move. They don't need it, but
They got to prove
probably
it
will.
because we don't. That's not how they do business,
Right.
So like, I'm doing a little like
They got their core set.
fan
here.
theorying or whatever, but
I've got a team
more
that I think
realistically.
needs impact move. Impact move needed no matter what. I don't know if they can compete with the Mets. I think the Baltimore Orioles.
I was just about to say that if you weren't.
They have to, right? Dude, Santander and Corbin Burns, if you don't make impact move, you done messed up.
they're really interesting because they're one of the few teams that don't really have holes, but they need the big fish. They don't have that big piece of like what their team identity will be. It was Corbin Burns.
Sure.
I don't think they're going to get him back. I'm willing to be wrong if they want to compete, and they have new ownership, so you never know. But yeah, they're losing Santander as well. So they're losing their biggest home run hitter and easily their best starting pitcher. And they have money to spend. So yes, I fully agree. They need to make an impact move.
Their rotation is currently Zach Eflin, who was better than I thought he would be with them. Good for you, Zach. Grayson Rodriguez, maybe build it up. Dean Kremer, Albert Suarez, and Trevor Rogers. And that Marlins trade.
Forgot about that trade.
It is interesting. On their IL, Bradish did get TJ. Forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a big blow for them. He was
A big blow for them.
fourth in Cy Young, I think, last year.
Their lineup, in theory, doesn't need a big move. They just need to bird up.
Yeah, I mean they have to see a step forward from Holiday. They have to see a step forward from Kerstad.
Santander was 40-something homers, right?
It's a lot of homers to take out of that lineup.
It's a stabilizing force that is not there.
They were second in home runs last year.
Even if the move is just re-signing Santander, I still think that qualifies putting them
big
in the
move.
second tier. It's a big. He's going to
Yeah.
get a big deal. It's going to be a 9-figure
Or
contract.
Burns.
I think
Or Burns.
I think you can. I think that's locked in. Impact move needed.
Yeah,
The
that's an easy
Baltimore
one.
Orioles.
Let's see. Should we put another one up there?
Before we do that, Jolly, why don't we show them this big blitzball battle 5 game coming up? Warehouse Games.
Blitzball Battle 5. Woogas, hook, line, sinkers.
Yeah.
2 really good teams without a win.
Exactly right. That's the storyline. Who is going to come out victorious? Because both these teams have the potential to do a lot of damage. Obviously, we know the history with sinkers. Woogers are a new team. Dan Rourke's a new man. That's what we keep hearing, but we haven't seen it yet translate to on-field performance.
I'm going to take Woogas because look at old man Dan right behind me right now. I don't know what he's writing for me. It's always going to be hard to pick against Jimmy Norp.
I believe in old men. I'm going to have to pick sinkers.
Well, there's no country for old men around here. Let's go Woogas. Coming your way later today from the Warehouse Blitzball Battle 5.
Make sure you go check that out on the Warehouse Games YouTube channel. One of the best things we do here at Germbug Mediums. So we have plugging holes with the Braves, which is open to some interpretation. We'll see. The only category that we currently don't have anything in is pick a direction. And there's a lot of candidates.
I think
give me your number one pick a direction.
number one is maybe the easiest placement on this entire thing for me. Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto.
We talked a little bit about it before the show. This is like you said when you described the tier, this offseason will determine the next 2 to 3 to even 4 years of Blue Jays baseball.
Yes.
They're pursuing Juan Soto. Some people believe it. Some people don't. If they don't get that big fish or another one in Corbin Burns, Max Fried, whatever, they're veering towards it might be time to start blowing this thing up to ensure that our future is not going to be bad, because there have been numerous times in this franchise's history where they waited too long to blow it up and it really cost them. Like the mid-2010s Blue Jays, if they had blown it up a year earlier or even like a half season earlier at a trade deadline, you would have seen more competitive teams. But they held on to guys like Bautista and Donaldson and Encarnacion a little too long, didn't get anything for them. This offseason, I think, will decide what direction the Blue Jays go in.
Man, I've sunk my brain power into this like once, and I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't know. Because are they... It seems like they want to re-sign Vlad.
Yeah.
Like, and if Vlad has hit this point, there's no sense in him signing an extension. Unless Toronto rolls it out there, and maybe they do, and maybe it's again, we're so caught up in this free agency. Like, after Vlad's last year, do age times production again, and Vlad, 405?
If he waits and does it again,
5?
yeah, like I don't. That's also where I'm at with this. Like, even outside of Soto, I don't think it's wise for someone like Vlad to sign right now. Like, because you in a bet on yourself scenario, and that just creates another problem for the Blue Jays. If they want 2 stars, they might end up with none. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the Bichette thing. Feels like it's in a weird spot. His value is also down. You're not trading Bo Bichette.
No,
that
you
doesn't
shouldn't
make
trade Bo now.
that
Even
doesn't
if
make
you do
sense.
decide to rebuild, you shouldn't trade him now.
So the question is, I don't know what they're gonna do.
They have to pick.
You
a
have
direction.
to bring in bodies to make Vlad feel like his potential last year here isn't dead.
Right.
But you can't screw up your books enough that if Vlad is worth $500, I think they're banking on that.
There is the other side of it, and I'm a Mets guy, so I'm going to use a Mets example. Pete had a really great 23, turned down the extension from the Mets, and then went out and didn't have his best Pete-esque year. Vladdy is on a different level than Pete right now, but if Vladdy, gets an extension offer, turns it down, there's always a world where he posts a 2023 type season where it's like a 115 OPS plus. Still great numbers, but not star level, and you might not get that big payday.
Right.
So he's got a lot to think about as well. Again, just an incredibly complicated situation in Toronto. The thing that stinks about it is that amidst all of this, they have a really good starting rotation. And it's kind of
maybe
going to get, I like it a lot still.
I like their starting rotation going into last year, and I got hurt a little bit by it.
Yeah, it's just they have pieces, you know what I mean? So if they do decide to sell, oh my God, they become the best team to trade with, maybe? Like the most pieces available? You're finally going to get out of that Springer contract? Like, times are coming. Times are changing.
So I guess this is where things get a little kinky here with impact move needed and plugging holes. The Blue Jays' direction can't be sell, right?
I think it can be.
And you just bank on Vlad taking the best money.
Yeah. Or you sell Vlad now. Pick a direction. They fit this tier perfectly, in my opinion, because they can't just sign a bunch of bonus pieces and expect that to fix their team. I also don't think, even if it is Juan Soto, 1 star just fixes everything for the Blue Jays.
Don't you think they are going to do that, though? Don't you think they're going to plug holes?
I think that they really believe in what they built, and they recognize that this team made the playoffs 2 years in a row, and I think they're just going to throw more money at it, and I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
And I think that stinks for Blue Jays fans, but that is what it is.
I have another pick a direction layup. I think it's the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think they've been showing signs that they're gonna.
What direction they're picking?
Yeah, I think they're the early word is that they're not rebuilding, but soft rebuilding.
Yeah.
You haven't heard the Cardinals as a big
Retool.
lead for a lot of free agents.
It's also a thing we haven't seen them do a lot in recent years. Like they used to run the NL Central. They used to get whatever they wanted and have a great offseason like every year. So they're in a weird spot.
What happened?
Brewers.
Brewers
came along.
happened. Pick a direction, Jolly.
I have a good one if you want to.
Ooh, I think I might have just seen one too. What league's your team in?
NL.
Oh, I have an AL one.
Perfect. You want to go
All right,
first?
count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Twins.
Oh, interesting.
Central.
But what can the Twins really do?
Pick a direction.
I
you a competitive?
I think there's only one way to go for them. They can't put more money in the team because they don't have more money. It's tough.
Right, but I feel like they won 82 games last year.
Right.
They're not going to hard sell.
Still have Correa in the
Right.
middle
Right?
of
Like
this
they're
contract.
still in it. That
They can make trades. They got guys.
I would love for the Twins to pick a direction. I think Twins fans would love for them to pick a direction.
Because, God, man, that division felt like it was there last year. I mean, you saw 3 teams make the playoffs last year. It's shocking
They
that the Twins were not one of
finished 4th in
them.
the division.
It's crazy. Like, that doesn't happen a lot. Like, the Twins, for all their playoff shortcomings, whatever, they do very well in the American League Central often. So, like, yeah, I agree. I think they need to figure it out.
With some like very positive butter knives in that season, they finished 4th.
Yeah.
Carlos Correa, how'd his year finish?
On a rate level, real good.
Carlos Correa WAR last year.
I'll say 3.2.
He WAR 3.7.
Okay. He got
like 81
905
games.
OPS.
Yeah, he was really
86
good.
games.
I know. Where did he land?
Like half a
86
season?
games.
Yeah.
So when he was out there, he was
But that's
Better
like
good.
kind of the entire Twins
Yeah.
team. When he's out there, he's good.
trade him to the Mets.
Okay, let's talk.
Third base.
Let's talk. Yeah.
Third base. You
They're
guys
fr-
have already done that.
Lindor and Correa, they're
You
friends,
signed him to
right?
play
Yeah.
third base
Team Puerto
before.
Rico.
Trade for Baez. Trade
God,
for
that,
Correa.
That whole 2-month period was so exhausting, man.
Golly.
It's terrible.
I think a lot about, I think it was a Cespedes Family Barbecue tweet I saw. I was like, wow, kids are going to look back at Carlos Correa's baseball references and say, he started with the Astros, then went to the Twins.
Yep, and that's all that happened.
Crazy.
I had Cubs here as well. And I know you're having a little bit of trouble with this because if the Cubs go out and they sign some bullpen guys and a back-end starter and maybe, an impact position player, whatever, they could win the NL Central.
See, I
could
think
plug holes and be
that's where
happy.
you and I think we disagree a little bit because I think the Cubs need an impact move.
Oh, really?
Because, Jolly, if you go and okay, this is going to be fun and bad.
Sure.
Miguel Amaya catching. I don't know. Fine. Catcher's a catcher. There's not a lot available.
Sure.
It is what it is. Michael Busch at first base.
Solid.
Nice little breakout year. Fine.
Under contract.
Nico
all that.
Horner.
Defensive whiz.
Solid. Dansby Swanson. Solid. Solid.
Mm.
Salad.
Price tag. Stop.
Isaac Paredes.
We'll see.
Solid.
I
know there's
didn't
concerns.
love that trade when it happened.
I know there's concerns,
Sure.
but he's 25.
Yeah.
He's 25. Ian Happ.
Great player.
Yeah, good answer. Company man.
Awesome.
Pete Crow Armstrong.
I still believe in him.
Probably going to rack up WAR,
Think he can
even
be
if he
good.
just catches the ball.
Started hitting a little bit in September.
Not picking him
Gets
to do
more
worse.
pop than you think.
Yeah.
His,
I mean, he was a top 5 prospect, dude, in the Mets system.
Cody Bellinger.
Solid.
Good.
Good.
Seiya Suzuki.
Good hitter.
DH, listed DH currently.
Not if you
I
want
like
that
that.
big fish.
Not a lot of these are a hole. The pitching, Shota, Steele, Tyone, Assad, Ben Brown. Hey,
I like
They
this
need some
rotation.
pitching.
I do.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Sure.
I'd like to see more out of Big Ben Brown.
This is the
Jimmy
most
got hot
we've
pretty
ever
bad.
deferred on a team, I think.
I guess for me, what if they plug holes? I don't think that changes anything for them.
Yeah.
I think if you bring in a big fish, it's like, okay, Cubs. If they come back with this same team, that's a bigger problem.
So much has to go right. So even when you add the star, so much has to go right. One, you already have so much money invested in this lineup.
Right.
So much money.
So they can't sell.
Right. So, God, they're in a Blue Jays-esque spot,
If the
but
Cubs,
better.
how about this?
Sure.
If the Cubs plug holes this offseason, is that a good offseason?
No,
No.
it's not. But it's not always about winning the offseason, Jake.
Right, but if they roll this out there again and it doesn't tick up 10 to 15 games,
Yeah.
I mean, we got real problems.
I'm with you that they can't sell because I just don't think anyone wants part of
I
a
think
lot
the
of these
Cubs front
contracts.
office loves this team, and
I
they don't
know.
get why it doesn't work.
I don't. Oh God.
Their offseason is only a success if they make a major move.
I'm willing to put them there because you know what? If you put them in pick a direction, we know what direction they're going to go.
They're heading one direction.
They're putting more money into this team or investing more. They can't stand pat.
And impact move needed. Maybe we're getting hung up on free agency because again, they're not. I've fallen in love with the idea of them caving and getting Corbin Burns because then it's Burns, Imanaga, Steele.
That's nice.
Like you
up
the ante for the whole team if you do that. Yeah. Like, hey, lineup, you guys are good. We got 3 in the rotation. Let's figure this out and win more baseball games. I don't know if that's going to happen.
You got a lot to fix in that bullpen too.
But the other thing is, we're kind of ignoring trades. Like, the Cubs could make an impact trade. I don't know who it is. Who are the trade names? Robert, Arenado. That's
Crochet.
Not going to happen. Crochet. Like, if the Cubs made one of those moves, we'd be like, all right, Cubs.
Right.
We're about it. I think they need an impact move.
I agree.
Holes ain't going to get it done.
I agree. They just didn't have a lot of money come off the books. The biggest thing that came off the books was Hendricks.
They got money.
So they freed up like
Send
15.
one of these guys back in a trade.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Belly to your Yankees.
Everyone's got to have their best year next year.
Robert to cross town. I think they need an impact move.
You need an impact move.
I think that raises rising tides and the ships. You're always talking about that.
I'll tell you who else needs an impact move, Jake.
Okay.
Your Boston Red Sox. They got to do something. We got to do something.
You're right. You are right, man.
They're almost there.
Because what are we doing?
They play in the AL East, which is tough, but they're almost there. I mean, they had their position player core, I think, is awesome. Like, they had a really great lineup last year. I am a little confused why they're really involved in the Juan Soto thing because I think they get so much better if they add an ace, and there's just so many great starting pitchers out there. A lot of pitchers. Like, I mean, it's Juan Soto, so you should go for him. But I really like Wilyer Abreu. Jaron Duran had a terrific year. I think people still undersell how good he was last year. We're going to do the whole Trevor Story song and dance again, but if you get something out of him, great. This is a really good lineup, in my opinion, and you can still add like a bonus piece to it. They got to add an ace. That should be mission and top priority for them. Get me a Burns, a Fried, a Snell, a Sasaki, whatever it is, get me an ace.
Yes. I'm just trying to think. Plugging holes is interesting because what does that look like for them? If that's, again, I hate going back to this example, but, if it was Sevy and Minaya, they add Sevy and Minaya, they do the Jonathan India trade. Is that plugging holes? Is that impact move needed?
I mean,
but to go to the next level, to say you're going to be above the Yankees,
to say
you're going to be above the Orioles.
Okay. If we're talking about like, I don't know.
They lost some guys who were good for them last year. Tyler O'Neill was really good.
Yes.
Full pension Piv, we don't know yet.
Which is why they need a big move.
Yeah.
It's not like we're getting
I agree. And I think Red Sox fans have been asking for that. And
we're not just getting the same fourth place roster.
We brought in a new front office.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Red Sox fans should be expecting a big move.
Right.
That's the status that this team is built up to.
And I think the other thing, like you're saying, they've got some options with their young lineup that they can, if they need to get creative or do a trade with one of those guys, something can happen there and they'd be fine.
Yep.
That with the pitching depth,
they need more answers there. I also think they might trade Yoshida, but we'll see.
Yeah, Yoshida's interesting.
$90 million.
He can hit defense. And was I talking to you or someone in the office that were like, you got to be careful. Like if you trade the Japanese players, there's like a sign of disrespect to that, signing like future Japanese players.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it does. Like,
comment below. What's your favorite country?
All right.
So, that's just engagement. Okay. Let's see. Impact move need. I want to jump around. I think I've got another easy hold, and this is funny because is this just going to turn into good teams?
Okay.
The Phillies.
Yeah.
I know the Phillies are looking to make an impact move, and they're probably going to. When Daddy Dombrowski starts talking to the media like that, Something's coming.
Trade's got to happen
I don't know if
first,
it's
though.
Bregman. I don't know if it's Arenado. Luis Roberts been rumored for a while.
Be a
Like
great fit.
they're
for
probably
them.
going to make a move, but if they don't,
But then this tier list
Philly's
is about
still
how
here.
important is that?
Philly's still here. If the
Yeah.
baseball started a playoffs tomorrow, they'd be one of the favorites in the National League. So
Yes, sir.
I expect them to make a move, but if they did hold, whatever that means, they would be fine.
I mean, the team that won the National League East last year is largely coming back. The biggest thing for them, if they do want to make that big move, is they got to find a way to get rid of Taijuan Walker's money. Because that's $54 million that they can free up for his next 3 years. Or 36 for his next 2, excuse me. And then they got to fix their bullpen because they lost a lot of guys in their bullpen. But otherwise, they're still a really talented team.
Yeah, man, I was even trying to elevate them to plug in holes. If they signed one reliever, not even.
Not even, man.
It's like a almost agreed move. Wheeler, Sanchez, Nola, Suarez, Walker. A reliever. And even the lineup, I mean, Marsh and Hayes,
You can make it work.
You can start the year with that, and
that
that ain't
yeah.
no problem.
Like Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller might be good to
Yeah.
go
Oh,
soon.
boy.
Like they got prospects they like too.
Shit. That's done. Oh my God, that's Dombrowski's music.
But like that's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
no.
Like if they're gonna make that big move, I think it's
God
gonna be a trade, not
damn it.
money. You know. So we'll see. That White Sox. That people keep doing the White Sox thing. I think they're the destination.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I have another easy hold.
You're
Okay.
The Brewers hold the line, like we still believe in what they do.
Yeah, I mean, do they even have holes to be plugged?
Yeah, like Adames, you can do something, whether that's adding
Like
shortstop
Adames is
or
gone and they
third.
don't care.
Like I think they trust what they're about.
They just signed Davy Garcia, so that's covered.
It's glad we got to mention that. I mean, so
You're gonna
yes,
trade guys away, and it won't matter.
Plug holes, there's maybe an argument there.
so that's a little where I'm at because they definitely believe in what they do. And you shouldn't ever operate your team this way. I do think that like crushing end to their season might change the way they approach this offseason
Can
because
put more of an emphasis
it's
on
been
it.
a very cyclical story for them of they find ways to craft together run preventing good pitching teams and they get to the playoffs and it just doesn't work. So that part of me makes me think that they will try something new, but it's not going to be an impact move because that's just not what their ownership group does. So I think plug and holes might be the best spot for them.
Because I think you're going to see a starting pitcher get
so.
signed. Right now, their rotation is listed Peralta, Woodruff, Savali, Myers, and Aaron Ashby.
Jose Quintana with
Like-
that infield defense would be
Careful.
money. Would be money.
Just makes too much sense.
money.
And then I think
They're gonna do stuff, and it was another heartbreaking end. So there's some
and I just
some pressure on them.
no offense, and the Brewers deserve all the credit. Like Oliver Dunn slotted as your starting third baseman, Ortiz making the move to shortstop. You can, I think
There's an addition
there's
to
going to
be
be
made in some
Brewers
way.
paid $15 million for this position player. Brewers played $15 million for this starting pitcher. Offseason done.
Yeah.
Man, they've got
It's kind of what they did last
they
offseason,
have a
dude.
Brewers bullpen.
Yeah.
Go check that out.
As
fixed
far
them
as
up,
I'm
Kyle.
They
concerned,
love their bullpen.
that is your NL Central champion once again.
Until they're not.
Until they're not.
Let's plug holes with some Brew Crews for now.
Can plug a hole.
Plugging holes. Sucking on chili dogs.
I got a good pick of direction for I think one of the weirdest teams in baseball right now.
Okay.
They're in the American League, if you want to guess.
Houston.
Close. As close as you can get. The Texas Rangers. What are we doing?
Oh.
We got to kind of figure it out because I think everyone was like, you guys can have a hangover. You won the World Series.
Right.
That's perfectly fine. Now you're about to be 2 years removed. And that's where we start to get into this weird, like, okay, are we like fully tied up in bad contracts and this is just what it is? Or are we going to try and start competing again? Because I think everyone went into last year thinking like Rangers are back, baby. AL West champs.
Right.
Everyone's consensus agreement. And like, you can't plan for things like the whole lineup taking a step back and guys getting hurt and all that stuff. But they can't just sit on their hands again, which is kind of what they did last offseason.
Yeah, I guess I would have to look at how much money they have coming off. Evaldi, Heaney, Yates, Robertson.
Yeah, they got
Scherzer,
freedom.
that was your money, right?
Yeah.
Not you personally.
I paid it.
I guess my only fight back there is they're not going to sell.
No.
So I think they might be plugging holes. Like, if you're Texas's front office this offseason, I don't know if you have a lineup spot to plug. I think pitching, you probably need one, if not two starters, and you need a bullpen.
You need like a whole bullpen. Their two best relievers are out the door.
Like, they need 4 pitchers.
Yeah. I like plugging holes.
I think they got to plug holes because I think I'm on the Texas train next year.
Yeah,
I think they had their World Series hangover.
They're ready to come back. And we didn't see the best of Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. I still think those two are going to be really good baseball players.
Yes.
And they're not going to make that big money move for a bat because I think they still believe in what their lineup is capable of. That lineup won them a World Series. So get me a starting pitcher, get me a couple of relief arms, and let's go.
Like, they literally... Ooh.
What do you got? Cooked up something?
So Josh Smith currently listed as their DH.
Silver Slugger.
Again, he had a nice year and utility. Josh Young has some injury history, whatever. That Texas DH spot. That doesn't pass my sniff test.
Something's going to happen.
Santander?
Jock. I mean, that would be a kind of nuclear move out of them.
Oh, man. I've been having trouble with Santander.
You roll into camp with Josh Smith as your util, not your DH.
That's a fun lineup.
And I think there's a couple DHs to be had. Who else is there? It's Jock.
Jock would be really good fit.
Jock would be great with them. Winker. I mean, even just a light. Hey.
Like Jock.
Don't say that.
JD Martinez.
Lost
his sex appeal a little bit, but we can make that work.
You butter knife out September. You had a great year.
Okay. Okay. There will be a DH to Texas announced. Or a hitter.
Marlins matter.
I keep looking at the Marlins. I think we listed them. They're nothing.
Yeah, they're nothing.
Yeah, Xavier Edwards. Look at that on base percentage, Jolly.
Otto Lopez, baby. Come on now.
Easy with that.
I got a big impact move, team.
Big impact move needed.
We've been high on him, Jake. We did our free agent draft, and this was the talk of the town. The NL East is about to get beefy because I think the Washington Nationals are about to get involved in a big way.
I love it.
I think they're due for a big boy move. Maybe even 2. Because they have so much money coming off. Their young guys are ready. Dylan Cruz, James Wood, CJ Abrams could possibly move him to second base. Who knows? They have a lot they can do. And I think it's really exciting to be a DC fan right now because they kind of won the World Series, and then they just went dormant, and everyone's just been kind of waiting for the next era, and I think it's finally here, and they got a really good free agent class to spend some money on. So, Bregman could be a possibility. Santander could be a possibility. Any of the pitchers could be a possibility. No excuses for them. This needs to be a big offseason for the Nats.
Pete
is a great example. He could really fit there. It would break my heart. But
I was going to try to lightly counter just because there's an interesting case for hold.
Interesting.
Just because there's a lot of young talent. Let's see what it actually is before we make our big splash.
Oh.
But I'm not going to fight you on this one. It's an attitude season.
But that's valid, though.
2019's been a minute.
If they want to sell off that BS of we got to see what we have and we want to sell another year.
They could plug holes with some rentals and make some moves next year. But kind of like you're saying, this free agent class... There's guys that make sense for them.
Yeah.
Not just for next year, but for a couple years that make the big move.
I'm not coming out and saying that the Nats are a playoff team next year, but I think they're going to be that team where it's they sign these big deals. The first year's kind of rough because it always is. And then next year is when they get serious.
Mention outfield that might rack up WAR.
Yeah.
Wood, Cruz, Young, Jacob Young.
Kybert Ruiz, we got to play better. Come on. Got to step it up.
Bear.
Yeah, they have arguments for hold or even plugging holes with this young core, but the impact move, it's needed.
The impact move might not be there in another year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Besides Vladdy.
Might not feel as good.
Yeah.
They need it to be full excited for next year.
Yeah.
I've got one that's hurting me. This is a Jakey favorite, and last year kind of left us limping.
Is it Mariners dunk time?
No, not yet. I've
coming.
It's coming.
got
Though.
my issues with them.
You're mean to them.
Cincinnati.
I don't know.
Los Reds.
Pick a direction.
It's just tough because this was supposed to be their direction. Right? Like they can't, it's not like they have veterans to sell.
The young pitching hasn't really gotten it done yet. Chambers a tough.
Had a tough year.
I think he landed
one of my favorite free agent signings last year.
Did he land league average? Just below?
I think
know.
They end up with it
429 slug.
That's not what they paid for, though. You know what I mean?
No. I think they're plugging holes, if we're being honest. You sign a starting pitcher. You sign.
If you plug, I think they're just going to end up with 82 wins if they do that.
Well, you missed Matt McClain last year.
You did.
TJ Friedel was out a lot of last year. Jamer Candelario has a down year. Like, you have the young pitchers that you're hoping are taking another leap. By the way, look at Hunter Green's final stats. It happened.
Yeah.
You might have missed it. Never mind. Martinez, Rhett Lauder with a cup of tea. Cup of coffee? Who calls it a cup of tea?
Cup of tea.
What was that?
British.
Lodolo, Lauder, Martinez, Abbott, Green. That's a nerdy baseball rotation for you.
I think of the 30 teams, this is the team that I struggle the most with.
Right? I still don't.
I don't know what the vision is. I don't know what it is. Like, is this a team that's going to score 10 on you, and that's like how they beat teams? Is this a team that's going to rely on their young, flame-throwing starting pitching? Because we have to lean one side or the other.
If I gave you two options.
Sure.
Hold or plug holes.
You can't hold. So plug holes, I guess.
Can't sell.
Can't you?
No.
And there's permanent India rumors.
Never happened.
The one sell.
I'm
Never
I'm
happened.
so sick of India rumors. Just decide.
Wow.
Give him an extension.
Charlie's
man.
not even talking
That's the
baseball.
direction I'm telling them to pick on.
Culture.
Trade him or don't.
Yeah,
It's plug holes.
Sure.
You gotta
whatever. And I'm disgusted by
a
it.
starter to defend the kids. One guy in the lineup.
Yeah.
Reds baseball. Roll the ball out there. Ellie De La Cruz is a freak. 50 minutes in and no New York Yankees.
I'll just put
What
him
is
in.
this program?
Impact move. We all know what the move is.
They need to sign or replace that one guy.
Pick a direction.
Yankees
Impact
sell?
move needed.
Yeah, obviously.
It's either one of the biggest free agent contracts of all time, or it's multiple contracts.
But, like, dude, if you don't get Soto, the offseason gets so fun.
It's true.
There's so many things you
It's
can
true.
do with all that money.
You can really start getting creative.
But it's Juan Soto.
I just don't know how creative or fun it gets.
Yeah.
Is that creativity more fun than just having Juan Soto again?
It depends on where it lands.
It's a
Yeah,
fun
man.
mental activity.
Creative?
Yeah.
Where, who wants to play first?
Yeah, I listened to your Yanks off-season plan episode. Got nauseous with all the outcomes and the numbers. And
It's a lot.
go check it out.
It's a lot.
Leave a dislike. Don't
Oh.
do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Charlie, I'm getting nervous because we're getting deep into this thing, and I've got a lot of teams that I'm kind of wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. Who stares at you? I mean, we can get the Mariners over with and get that fight out of the way.
No, I got an easier one. I'm hoping this is the direction they go. The Giants should plug in holes this offseason.
I think you're right.
Year in and year out, we do the whole thing where they're rumored for the big fish, and then they drive up the price and they don't get them. And I got to think, if you're a Giants fan and you're Giants ownership and you're Buster Posey, new in this position, you have to go about things a different way this year. And you know what, man? If you add like a Ha-Sung Kim to this team and like a nice mid-tier starter to back up Logan Webb and maybe another back-end guy on top of that, you can spread this money out and make this team really good. Like, they're not going to beat the Dodgers, and I think that's kind of implied. But there's no reason why a position core of Tyler Fitzgerald, Matt Chapman, Elliot Ramos, Patrick Bailey, that team can be good. So they just got to plug in some holes.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight you on it. A big move would be cool, and we'd get excited.
Yeah.
Obviously.
They've been trying to do the big move, and like nobody will agree to be it. They kind of did last year,
Chapman
but
and Young-Hoo Lee kind of turned into their big move.
Right.
kind of.
And I believe
Like
in the Posey Giants. I do.
There's like, I think a lot of their fan base would be perfectly happy with like, hey, we grabbed like 4 new guys. Hopefully 3 are like pretty good and are long-term pieces.
It's true on paper, man. If they had an MLB hitter in the lineup and they had a starting pitcher, you can roll that team out there and play some Giants baseball. It's just that's
move
part of
off
the
a
problem
couple
a little bit.
guys.
Fitzgerald slugged like 500 last year. It's pretty good.
He was very good in the games he played in.
Yeah.
Add that with Gleyber Torres. Okay, Giants are plugging holes. Are the Royals plugging holes? I think so.
Yeah, pretty fundamentally.
I think so.
Dude, get some outfielders. Get some outfielders and let's party. You know?
Because even if it was the one big impact move, that would almost feel like a miss. Like they need more of a well-rounded team.
And that's not what they've ever done.
Yeah,
you know, like that's not the Royals' way. But like, you know, the fact I think in my research for my video last week, they were a bottom 3 team in outfield offensive production, and they still made the DS. Like that's remarkable. But like, sign Jock and sign Tyler O'Neill, and your team is so much better. You know, like it doesn't have to be that complicated for them. They have a great rotation. They're going to add Kyle Wright to it. We'll see what we get. And I believe in their bullpen. And the guys that they traded for at the deadline last year, some of them are still under control, like Lucas Urseg, who is very good. So I like where they're at. They just need a couple more bats. Michael Massey.
Massey's good.
He's a good player.
Pretty swing.
Yeah.
No,
these are some disgusting teams.
Yeah, man. These are...
Tigers, I think, is easy.
Go on.
I have them as pretty easy.
I think it's impact move, right?
That's where I have them.
Is it needed?
I don't think it's needed for it to be a free agent, like we've been talking about with sniff test stuff.
I don't know that you're going to have another Magic September like they did. And I think that was really good for them because that's the evidence that, like, okay, the roster that we built can compete.
You had it right.
Yeah?
An impact move is needed.
It's kind of needed.
How many years of Scooble do we have left? 2?
We can start to play that game.
Is it 2?
Is it 2? No way.
2 or 3?
It's that close? How long has he been around?
Which either way.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Is it 2?
2027, so it's 3, I think.
We got to go.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 2.
Oh, boy.
We got to go. So, yes.
And you know what? You should reward the team that just got you to the DS, man. Like, I don't think anyone had that in their cards, and Kerry Carpenter played great. Riley Green played great. Like, these guys deserve a nod from ownership that what they did was significant, and the nod you give is a big free agent.
Yeah, and I'll give us an escape route if we need it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be pretty impactful if they said Tarek Skubal extension.
Sure. I'd chalk that up as a win.
That's a cop-out answer, but that would feel huge for Detroit's franchise.
Everyone feels like he's the best pitcher in baseball.
If they
right
plugged
now.
holes and extended Scoob,
yeah,
it's impactful.
that counts as
okay
a good off season, I think.
Because you can also
they have enough young pieces to consolidate into an impact guy.
You can go ace for them, and suddenly you have
right.
Imagine if you had a Max Fried and Tarek Skubal lefty tandem. That's gross. That's insane. Or you can go bat route. You can get Pete at first base. You can get Bregman to play third. Like they have a lot of options and they have money, so let's make it happen.
Okay. I have another impact move needed. This one's been tough. Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm sorry, man. If you roll that out there,
it's gonna be the same thing.
I know, but
I'm with you.
That's a problem.
I'm with you.
You've got it. You've got everyone saying that these young pitchers never happen, and if you have that, you've got to go. And the front office came out and said, we need to add, and you added
IKF and Brian De La Cruz.
That ain't it, Pop.
Impactful for some.
Like, I was doing some impassioned speeches on Talkin Baseball earlier this year about how we need to. You don't know when all 3 of these guys will be healthy at the same time in the future. It could be next year, and there could be, the Pirates could look smart for being a little bit more conservative, but it also could not be. Like, that's the game you play when your strength is young starting pitching who throw really hard.
Get Brett Rooker yesterday.
Oh, that would be such a good fit.
Get Brett Rooker yesterday.
Oh, that would be such a good fit. Dude, their DH is a switch hitting backup catcher.
I don't like that currently.
Let's go.
I don't like that.
Their
currently.
first baseman is Billy Cook. Who is that? I'm
Hey,
sorry,
I
but
love
who
his
is
game.
that?
I like his game. I like the way he plays.
Sign Pete.
They won't.
Wow.
But imagine if they did.
I know.
Like, there's no reason why they can't. And the Pirates make me so mad.
Good.
They make me so
Let that
mad.
hate fuel
They
you,
make me
Jolly.
so mad.
Yes.
Pittsburgh is a proud sports town.
They're ready to be fun.
Why does their baseball team suck?
Can't wait for an angry 44-year-old Jolly Olive.
I'm so glad
That's
I'm
why
not a
I do
Pirates fan.
this.
It would just frustrate me endlessly. Endlessly.
Okay, another one that I kind of need to defer the kickoff.
Oh, boy.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
P&H's?
I mean, let's remember that the Diamondbacks had the same record as a team that made the playoffs last year. They fell
Right.
that short of being in the dance, and who knows what they would have done if they got in. And I think we would have spoke about them very, very
Real
differently
good offense.
if we saw some October run from them again. With that being said, pitching's a little bit of a mess right now. They're in the Montgomery situation, which I think ownership handled fairly poorly.
Great.
Because, like, who knows what Monty looks like with a proper spring training, and you kind of just threw that out the window. So for them, I think they're probably plug-in holes. I think we know their direction. Their direction is to be competitive. I also would listen to an argument for hold, because I think the team that I'm looking at right now is good and can compete, but they probably need a couple.
Yeah, it's just
Some
tough
parts
because
in, parts out.
hold has become a tricky part of this exercise because
I have a couple more hold teams. We'll
their
see.
rotation looks better than I expected to look at it.
Brandon Pfaadt had a nice year. It was okay.
Montgomery.
Erod should be better, right?
I think
Should like be around.
plug-in holes.
Go get me a center fielder.
Plug-in holes. Get
Keep or replace Jock.
an outfielder or a first baseman.
Harrison Bader is a Diamondback.
Okay.
He is.
All right, maybe they're hold.
No. Let's go. Let's plug some holes for now. What do you ever do with the Rays?
Yeah, Rays and Guardians, I'm struggling a lot.
With
Guardians might be hold. Is that crazy?
I was thinking about pick a direction for them, particularly in regards to like the Josh Naylor situation.
So they do this thing where when a player enters their last year, they usually trade them. But they didn't do that with Shane Bieber, and it did bite them because they probably should have known what happened. So maybe I actually kind of like pick a direction for them.
Well, we
Like
know their direction.
Do we?
They're going to compete for the AL Central.
It felt like they got into the ALCS by accident.
I'm leaning hold currently.
I'm okay with
I'm not sure how much
'Cause-
like matters.
Okay, so this
there.
is
Not in a nothing matters way.
what are we labeling this? What
Hold is like we think you can still compete with a returning
this is going to
roster.
sound really dumb, but the whole episode is
Oh.
off season.
Ranking off-season
like
importance.
the most important off seasons tier list.
For me, they need to hold Naylor.
Yeah,
Like
that's a really
if you
big piece
sell
of it.
Naylor, you're out.
Well, because I think they like Manzardo,
Sure,
but you can't just like
and
give
they
him,
just had too much hitting again.
you can't just give him the keys. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, all right, we got our guy, bye Naylor, because Naylor's a 30-homer bat, which is so needed in this lineup. Hold. I think I'm with
It'd be
you,
sick if they plug some holes, but I don't even think they do that.
and I don't think they're going to go out and sign a starter.
I mean, they'll get like a bargain bin guy, but
Even that,
their bullpen, no, they're not going to pay out there.
no way.
I mean, who in their lineup do they hate?
I mean, I think I don't think
Nobody.
they will, but I think they should try and do something with shortstop because I don't know if Brian Roque is the answer.
I think they're in on Roquio.
Okay,
I think
then
they've got.
we're holding.
I
I'm with
think
you.
they're at least like
We're holding.
he's getting another.
They're
year.
holding.
We're holding. I also I'm gonna look 1 second before I say this out loud.
Well, I don't know if this is the team you're talking about. I think I've landed on Rays for hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just-
Because if they hold Yandy and Brandon Lau, I'm going to like them in the American League next year.
Yeah.
They're getting some of their pitching back.
They're getting a
Rays
whole
magic.
rotation back, essentially.
They're getting a whole rotation back.
which
That-
is supposed to be the strength of their team.
Even if
didn't
they
have it last
flip
year.
one of Diaz and Lau, who are their 2 first-listed hitters, Caminero, Josh Lowe.
I'll trust the decisions they make
Siri.
beyond.
Oh, we're
that,
gonna get a
but-
full Caminero season. He's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I mean, they need to hold. And that's even like them selling. I don't know.
I would like a trade for a better DH option, even though that feels very non-Rays. It's just not the way they do things.
But like, I guess part of this extra, if they rolled out the squad you see on their Baseball Reference, if that is a wild card contender.
Yeah.
You obviously always want a little more out of the Rays, but
It's almost weird that they weren't in the picture last year because I always just have them as they're going to be there in September and then we'll see what happens.
dude, if these sickos could bring in Jock Peterson, that would change
way.
their whole outlook.
I would
know.
love it
I know.
because they would deploy him perfectly, but there's no way they do
They're
that.
going to hold.
Yeah.
So the final 3 teams.
Yeah.
San Diego Padres, your Seattle Mariners, and Houston. Shout out West Coast and Houston.
3 of the
Being in
most
West.
important off seasons, in my opinion. Right here.
I didn't want to. I've been wondering who can compete with the Mets. Every
that
day,
top.
Jolly. Call me crazy, call me maybe.
I think,
Do the Seattle Mariners
Yeah.
have an argument?
yeah, they do.
Because this is a pivot year, man.
Because their pick a direction is 5 different directions. Okay, are we going to start to chip away at our rotation to go get a bat? Are we going to full sell all of these controllable arms because we don't believe in the roster that much? Do we just try and sign hitters again, even though it didn't really work last year and we have money to spend? They're in such a weird spot, but they have so much talent.
So I don't think it would be pick a direction because they're trying to compete. They
should.
have this core of pitchers. Dude, it's kind of like the Pirates, right?
They also spent money on an extension mid-season last year. So they're very clearly...
You talking Victor
I
Robles
am,
right now?
but that's a sign to me that they're still trying
Robles
to compete.
Hive.
I'm a believer.
They're trying to win.
Yeah.
They have Julio. They have Kyle Raleigh. They have a whole rotation. They're trying to win. So
They have the best rotation. Not a whole... They have the best rotation.
they've tried plugging holes. It does not work. It's the top 2.
And people don't want to sign there, so they kind of need to make trades. Hitters don't want to sign there, I should say.
Right. So thank God we have all these young pitchers.
I'm down to put them at the top.
I'm interested.
As the second top team.
That's the second top team because you cannot just roll this out again next year. Getting Randy, I think, was big. They had a good trade deadline, all things considered.
Yeah.
Even though the season was a failure, getting Robles and Randy at the deadline, I think was really good for them.
Let's keep it AL.
Yeah.
The Houston Astros. You know who their listed third baseman is right now? Give anyone a nickel if you get it.
That tall kid.
Shea Station. I don't know.
Jay Whitcomb.
Yeah, wasn't gonna get to Whitcomb.
Okay.
Got Shea though.
Proud of you on that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Altuve, Tucker, Alvarez, Yiner, Diaz.
Like that.
Jeremy Pena,
Like that.
Myers, McCormick,
Oh boy,
Victor Caratini,
it gets ugly quick.
Framber, Hunter Brown, Ronald Blanco, Eraghetti, Luis Garcia, and at some point I'm going to assume Lance
Javier
McCullers
McCullers,
Jr. is going to
yeah.
pitch again. I don't know how long Javier's out for.
Pitching's still there.
Hader, Abreu, Presley, Taylor Scott.
Taylor Scott.
I think one move needed. No?
This team needs Pete Alonso.
That's a big move.
This team needs Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso with the Crawford boxes is 50 home runs for free.
Pretty short down the lines, too. Down to right, if he needs it.
He was the pick I made in the video I did last week, and I just think it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
Altuve, Tucker, Alvarez.
That
If they're gonna
top 5 is so good.
It's good. It's not bad.
That's a full season out of Tucker too.
It's not bad.
they're gonna
Pete
sign
and Alvarez back to
You
back.
convinced me.
God damn. Sorry.
But they need an impact move.
yeah, they do.
If
need an impact.
if we come out of the offseason and Houston has added.
They just like plugged the first base hole and
Kikuchi, and like that's it.
If their bat answers
Kikuchi, Goldschmidt, and whatever
something like that.
whatever the third base.
Kikuchi and Goldschmidt isn't the offseason they need.
No.
So yeah,
which would be like the plugging hole.
That starts getting into.
We're the big bad Astros. We got to have a big bad move.
They need an impact move. Okay, done.
Done.
That leaves one team.
It sure
Popular
does.
team around this office.
It sure does.
The San Diego Padres. They don't know.
No.
Because they're not sure where their ownership is at. They got a lineup, although some of the names currently listed at the bottom of the lineup, I cannot give you Terso Ornealis' scouting report.
That was great pronunciation.
Wish I could. Cease King, Darvish, Vasquez, Waldron.
Yeah, no, Musgrove hurts.
Suarez, Jason Adam. They got a bullpen back there.
I'm at holes with
yeah,
this
I
one.
think this
They've
is
met
They
more
holes.
seem
easier.
like they're plugging holes.
It seems daunting, and I guess the Padres have also been so impactful that I think it's in our heads, but they just have to plug holes.
Yeah, I mean,
Profar back.
Profar and a starting pitcher, and we're all like, okay.
Profar starting pitcher, some reliever situation.
I think the Padres have had a little big move-itis of like every offseason, let's win the offseason, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. This top six of their lineup is, in my opinion, World Series caliber. So just supplement it. Like that's kind of what they did last year. They got like David Peralta at the back end, and he was pretty good for them. Like those caliber of moves make this team a lot better. Like get the guys that are good defenders, get the guys that can play multiple positions. Missing Hassan Kim sucks for them. Like they need to find someone that can fill that role because that was really important to their team. And then they need back end starting pitching. Because I don't know the confidence level in Vasquez or Waldron, but that top three is really good. You know? What do you think of that face? What's that?
111 games last year.
Okay.
Xander Bogaerts had a 1.2 B WAR.
Not good.
How many more years he gets paid for?
10?
9.
I
didn't like it when it happened.
11 years felt big.
was going to throw out, like, can you trade him back to Boston and kind of heal that wound? But I don't.
That was
think
like
they'd be very against that.
That was the mega deal where I think they already had a really good offseason, and I was kind of why?
That was the one.
It was
That felt like overkill.
It was overkill.
That was the Seidler bomb. Hey, Jimmy. Who's Jeff? Oh, yeah.
breaking news.
Sure. Yeah, he'll be excited. All right, so that
Hey, we
rounds
did it.
out. So where do we put the Padres?
I had them in plug.
Plug-in
I think we
holes.
had them
PH.
plug holes.
I like where we landed.
At the top, most important offseason, Mets, Mariners, AL, NL, the Mets thing we laid out an hour ago.
Jeez.
Seattle, yes, dude.
Yeah, big time.
So, going into this, I didn't think they were going to end up there, but it makes sense.
They're going to trade Castillo.
But like good, because you can
Yes,
still
that'll
have
be
the best
part of
rotation in baseball.
substantial moves.
Like you
Bring
can
in a
still
hitter.
have the best rotation in baseball if you trade him.
Impact moves needed. Orioles, Cubbies, Red Sox, Nats, Yanks, Tigers, Pirates, Houston Astros. Plugging holes, the Braves, the Brewers, the Reds, the Giants, Royals, Diamondbacks, and our fathers, the Padres. Pick a direction. Blue Jays, Cardinals, and Twins. Oh, my.
Oh yeah.
I don't like that lane. I do not like that
I don't think they
lane.
like it either.
Not where you want to be.
Hold. Dodgers, Phillies, Cards, and Rays. Those are kind of like good franchises.
3 playoff
That
teams.
just labeled good franchises. And nothing matters. God, I feel like these teams end up towards this part of the list a lot. Athletics, who don't have a city name anymore. The Rockies, the Halos, the White Sox, and the Marlins. I think that's pretty good.
Halos will spend more than half the teams on this list.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, they already
Yes,
they
will.
have. Sound off in the comments. Everyone thank Jolly Olive for joining us. Comment about his hair. That's the office's biggest activity. And go check out his video coming out this weekend on Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, it
Get
should be
more
interesting.
educated.
Should be interesting.
I didn't really.
You'll learn.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, man.
Uncle
Glad to be
Dan?
here.
Waking Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.